Nirika. I forget your name.
Nandini
Radhika. Nandini Radhika.
She got first and second initiation. You know that?
In one shot.
Yeah.
Very impressive. Nandini Radhika. What's it? Recording now. It wasn't before, but now it is. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradari Jashodanandana Bhaja Jana Ranjana Bhaja Jana Ranjana Jashodanandana Bhaja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Good morning, Ekeshwara Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 12, verses 40 through 44, and we are completing Chapter 12 today. Text 40. Shri Sutta Uvacha, Itam Dvija Vada, Itam Dvija Yada Vedadata Strutva Svarutas Charitam Vichitram Vapracha Bhuyo Pitad Eva Punyam Vaya Sakim Yan Nigrita Chitta. Translation by Srila Prabhupada, His Divine Grace. Shri Sutta Goswami said, "O learned saints, the childhood pastimes of Sri Krishna are very wonderful." Maharaj Parikshit, after hearing about those pastimes of Krishna, who had saved him in the womb of his mother, became steady in his mind and again inquired from Sukadev Goswami to hear about those pious activities. Text 41. Maharaj Parikshit inquired, "O great sage, how could things done in the past have been described as being done at the present?" They're talking about the killing of the demon. And,
Yeah.
and he says, how come the boys are just referring to it as something that just happened, even though it happened a year earlier? Lord Shri Krishna performed his pastime of killing Aghasura during his Komara age. How then, during his Poganda age, could the boys have described this incident as having happened recently? So we're going to describe Krishna's ages today. Discuss. 42. O greatest yogi, my spiritual master, kindly describe why this happened. I am very much curious to know about it. I think that it was nothing but another illusion due to Krishna. Purport by Srila Prabhupada's Divine Grace. Krishna has many potencies. Parasya Saktir Vidhaiva Shruyate Shvetashvara Upanishad 6.8. The description of Aghasura was disclosed after 1 year. So the description of this snake demon being killed was disclosed after 1 year. Some act of Krishna's potency must have been involved. Therefore, Maharaj Parikshit was very curious to know about this, and he requested Shukadev Goswami to explain it. Text 43. O my Lord, my spiritual master, although we are the lowest of Kshatriyas, the ruling class, the administrative strata, we are glorified and benefited because we have the opportunity of always hearing from you the nectar of the pious activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport by Srila Prabhupada's Divine Grace. The pious activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are very confidential. It is not ordinarily possible to hear such activities unless one is very, very fortunate. So we're all very, very fortunate by Srila Prabhupada's grace to be able to hear about Krishna every morning, to be able to make this choice of showing up for Srimad Bhagavatam class at Keshwara Prabhu. You're my inspiration. All right. Prabhupada's mercy. Parikshit Maharaj placed himself as Chatra Bandhava, which means the lowest of the Kshatriyas. The qualities of the Kshatriya are described in Bhagavad Gita. And although the general quality of the Kshatriya is Ishvara Bhava, the tendency to rule means to take responsibility. A Kshatriya is not supposed to rule over a Brahmana. Thus, Maharaj Parikshit regretted that he had wanted to rule over the Brahmanas and had therefore been cursed. He considered himself the lowest of the Kshatriyas, Dana Mishvara Bhavas, Cha Kshatram Karma Svabhajam, Bhagavad Gita 18:43. There was no doubt that Maharaj Parikshit had the good qualities of a Kshatriya, but as a devotee, he presented himself with submissiveness and humility as the lowest of the Kshatriyas, remembering his act of wrapping a dead serpent around the neck of a Brahmana. A student and disciple has the right to ask the Guru about any confidential service, and it is the duty of the Guru to explain these confidential matters to his disciple. And text 44, Sutta Goswami said, O Shonaka. So we're going to, he's talking to Shonaka Rishi. Sutta Goswami is talking to Shonaka Rishi, and Maharaj Parikshit is talking to Shukadev Goswami. Those are the two conversations that are there in the Bhagavatam. Greatest of saints and devotees, when Maharaj Parikshit inquired from Shukadev Goswami in this way, Shukadev Goswami, immediately remembering subject matters about Krishna within the core of his heart, externally lost contact with the actions of his senses. Thereafter, with great difficulty, he revived his external sensory perception and began to speak to Maharaj Parikshit about Krishna Katha. So this is our meditation when we are thinking of asking an intelligent and pertinent.
May Krishna continue to bless you with your devotional service.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Ah,
So this is our meditation when we're in class and when we're thinking of a pertinent and a burning question to ask the presenter. We should ask in such a way that the presenter externally loses contact with the actions of their senses. And then we should take some time to let the speaker revive his senses and begin to speak about Krishna Katha. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 10th canto, 12th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Killing of the Demon Aghasura. So we're completing this chapter today. Right. Om Agyanati Nirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master is opening my eyes with transcendental knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him again and again and again. Asta Prayeshu Bhajishu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes on Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering service to a pure devotee, everything that is troublesome to the heart becomes almost completely destroyed. And pure devotional service to the personality of Godhead, who is praised in transcendental songs like those by Blue Aprons, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, let me see. Okay, so in text 40, Sri Suta Goswami said that the childhood pastimes of Krishna are very wonderful. So how wonderful is Krishna is right there in our first line today. And Adipurusha Prabhu is rejoicing. Very nice, straightforward Krishna verse today. And after hearing about those pastimes of Krishna, who had saved him in the womb, Maharaj Parikshit became steady in his mind and again inquired from Shukadev Goswami to hear about those activities. So hearing about Krishna makes us become steady in our mind. And what do we use this steadiness for? To inquire further about Krishna, just like Maharaj Parikshit. So the purpose, why we're hearing about Krishna. We're hearing about Krishna not to gain something, some peace of mind or some steadiness. Even this will come as a byproduct. We're hearing about Krishna to hear more. And Krishna is performing his pastimes to create subject matters for us to give our attention to. That's one of the purposes why Krishna is performing his pastimes, to give us subject matters to meditate on. And we're meditating on them to meditate more. That's the purpose. It's not that we're performing the processes of bhakti to gain something. That will all come as a byproduct. Srila Prabhupada famously said, all your $1 million problems, all your $1 problems will become solved if you address this bigger problem, lack of faith, lack of Krishna consciousness. If that is taken care of, then all your mindfulness, all your prosperity problems, all your health problems, it will all fall into place. And then in text 41, Maharaj Parikshit is asking a question: how come that something that happened a year ago is being talked about as though it just happened now? There seemed to be some confusion. There seemed to be some discrepancy. And then Krishna's Kumara age is being talked about here. Kumara means baby. That's the first phase that Krishna is going through as Krishna grows. From 0 to 3, or sometimes 5, because Krishna is 2 years ahead. Krishna is a little ahead in his development. So in the age of Kumara, baby Krishna resides in Mahavan. That's one of the forests in Vrindavan. And this is the age, so this is from 0 to 5 in Mahavan. It's called Kumara stage. Mahavan is the forest of Vraj. Vraj is the big Vrindavan area. So Mahavan is the forest that is 6 miles east of Mathura. And Mathura is where the prison is, where Krishna was born. So Vasudev carried Krishna, baby Krishna, for 6 miles apparently into Mahavan. Mahavan is also called Brihadvan, as its largest. Brihad means big, among the forests of Vraja. Mahavan, that's where baby Krishna resided, is also known as Gokul, or sometimes Gokul Mahavan, because it is the land of the Go, cows. What else do we know about the land of Go? Who else lives in the land of Go? Gopis. Gopis and Gopas. Cowherd boys and cowherd girls. So that's Go. Mahavan is the name of the Go. It is the land of the Go. The original house of Nanda Maharaj, Nanda Bhavan, is still there in Mahavan. One can take the darshan of Krishna. And Yogamaya in the temple of Nanda Bhavan. That's where original house of Nanda Maharaj was. There were 84 pillars in this house, and some of the original pillars are said to be still there. This is the house where Krishna Balaram performed so many childhood pastimes. So during his Kumara phase, Krishna did what? There was the name given ceremony in the cowshed nearby. Killing Putana happened in this age. Shakatasura, the card demon, Trinavarta, the wind demon, and deliverance of Nalakavera and Manigriva, the 2 demigods that were trapped in the tree bodies. So all that happened during this Kumara phase between 0 and 3, or sometimes 0 and 5. Krishna is a little ahead. It is at this house that Krishna Balaram started to crawl on their knees, and that Krishna was bound up with ropes by Yashoda Mai. So that binding Krishna, that Leela also happened in that place during this phase. 1 mile east of Nanda Bhavan is the Brahmanda Ghat, is the place where Bal Gopala, baby Krishna, gave darshan of the entire universe to Yashoda Mai when she saw the whole universe in his mouth. Also that Komaram phase. Krishna stayed here in Gokul Mahavan for 3 years and 4 months before going to Vrindavan forest. But developmentally, he was at the age of 5. Then the next phase is called Poganda, 3 to 6 or 5 to 10, because Krishna is ahead. That's boyhood. And so that phase, Krishna reside, during that phase, Krishna reside in Vrindavan. Yeah, so that's his Poganda stage. And then comes Kaishora, 6 to 10 or 10 to 15, because Krishna is ahead. And that's Krishna. Kaishora is Krishna's eternal age. Krishna is eternally Kaishora. Srila Jiva Goswami said, Shri Krishna does not age beyond the Kaishora period, ages 10 to 16. To be exact, the 19th century Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharya Siddha Krishna Das Tatapada said, Bhagavan Shri Krishna's eternal age is 15 years, 9 months, 7.5 days. Very interesting. So, Krishna is 15 years, 9 months, 7.5 days old eternally, and doesn't go beyond that phase. So then Krishna went to Mathura. And on the 14th day thereafter, he killed Kamsa, the evil king of Mathura, the one who was bothering everybody, causing troubles everywhere, trying to kill Krishna and so many others. So Krishna killed him at the age of 10 years and 7 months. But Krishna was ahead, so he was in his Kaishora phase at that time. Okay, so we talked about Krishna's phases. Devotees are coming in, thank you so much. So we're moving on to the next subject, which is Kshatriya, the qualities of a Kshatriya. The inquirer, Maharaj Parikshit, belonged to that caste of people, a Kshatriya. And he referred to himself as the lowest of the Kshatriyas. He was talking about that offense that he unknowingly committed against a Brahmana by placing a dead snake around his neck. But then we should understand that this bhakti movement, the movement that Srila Prabhupada or Acharya started, is not about recreating a culture that existed in the past, in the cultural sense. In the context of bhakti yoga, varnashrama should be understood as a way to organize the society and the way we interact with one another and the way we engage our nature, our qualities and propensities, so that we can always remember Krishna and never forget. And that's varnashrama in the context of bhakti. So varnashrama has 4 divisions of the society and 4 phases of life. So the 4 divisions of the society, would anyone like to name those? 4 divisions of the society? Brahmana, Kshatriya, Brahmana, Vaishya, Kshatriya, and Shudra. So Brahmana is the head of the society. Brahmanas are supposed to remind all the other and guide all the other divisions of the society and cultivate them in devotional service, engage them in devotional service. That's the primary duty of the Brahmana, to educate everybody about Krishna and devotional service and engage them in devotional service. Then comes the ruling class, Kshatriyas. Kshatriya in bhakti means someone who is willing to put his life on the line to protect all the other divisions, to protect the Brahmanas who are engaged in devotional service in a very direct way, in worshiping Krishna in a very direct way, and protect the culture, protect the Vaishyas, the belly of the society, the devotees who are engaged in giving employment to others, producing food to offer to Krishna. So they need protection, and protection comes from Kshatriyas. And Kshatriyas also offer protection to Shudras, who are assisting all other divisions in their respective services. Then comes, so we talked about Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. So, and all of those classes, so to say, are all working together, trying to please Krishna. So it's very important not to get lost in these divisions and not to drift into this superficial understanding. 750 now, not 744. Yeah. Adipusha Prabhu is serving me and I'm distracted now. Adipusha Prabhu made me forget Krishna for a minute. I'm joking. It's a joke.
You were talking about touches serving everybody.
Hold on. You want to ask a question?
No, I thought you were trying.
Oh, you're trying to remind me. Yeah. Yeah, Varnashram.
You just elaborating.
Yeah. And then there are four phases of life.
Right, that is Sudra. Right.
Yeah, those are the four divisions of the society, and then four phases of life.
Right.
Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas. Brahmachari means I'm a disciple. I live in the quarters of my guru, and I'm offering humble service. And I'm studying like crazy.
Yeah.
I'm learning how to cook, how to play mridanga. I'm becoming well versed in Shastra. I learn shlokas by heart. So that's Brahmachari phase, when we are studying, actively learning, serving. Then comes the next phase, family life. Family life is, for the most of us, is the best way to channel our creative energy and our propensity to care for others. So that's what family is for. Then, when we reach age of 50, we need to start gradually wind up and withdraw from being actively engaged in the society and dedicate more time to devotional service and to giving bhakti to others. When we live like brother and sister, when our children are grown up, that's like an empty nester stage. And then comes sannyas, when we go into the forest of devotional service and immerse completely in giving devotional service to others and pleasing our spiritual master and giving others a chance to serve. So that's sannyas. And what else is here in the verses today? Yeah. When Shukadev Goswami was asked a question, he immediately remembered the subject of Krishna within the core of his heart. And externally, he lost contact with actions of his senses. That's just one little point before we open for Q&A. When we remember Krishna, we may externally, so we shouldn't worry about externals. That's the gift of Krishna consciousness. It's in that verse. What's that verse? Nastaprayeshva Bhadrishu. By regular attendance, by regular attendance, by hearing about Krishna regularly, everything that is coming from outside that is troublesome, so we can breathe out and relax and stop worrying about it. That's what Krishna consciousness, that's the gift of Krishna consciousness. That's the gift of hearing. We may externally lose contact with all that because we're connected to Krishna, who is within the heart. And then everything that is troublesome, all these outside agents that are troublesome, are not bothering us anymore, almost completely. We're not bothered by it. And so this is pretty much everything that I wanted to talk. I have more points, but we'll open for Q&A now. We're supposed to first ask if there is a question or a comment in the temple room. Who do we have in the temple room? Akeshwar, Adipusha, Prabhu, Domi, Ankita, and your name, Mataji? Vrinda. Ankita, Vrinda, Domi, Keshwar, Adipusha, Prabhu, any questions? Ask a question so that I lose my contact with the externals and fall into ecstasy. Hari. Come a little closer.
I'll try.
Crawl a little closer.
Okay, Hare Krishna. You can hear me okay? Does it work?
Yeah.
Hare Krishna? There it goes.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. I remember first coming to temple, 1973, and there were what's that? Somebody has their sound open. There were two very young devotees. They couldn't have been, they're both teenagers. And they were in the gift shop. And there was this picture of this pastime that we're about to talk about, where Krishna took the form of all the cowherd boys and cows. You know that story? And because Brahma had stolen away all the calves and boys. And so Krishna, to bewilder Brahma, appeared like that. So these two teenagers had no idea about Krishna consciousness. They began to tell me that pastime. So we have the experience of being on the receiving end of hearing about these unusual activities that Krishna engages in. And also we've had the experience of telling other people who haven't heard anything about this, right? And I don't know if I can describe how I felt hearing that story. It was just so beyond anything of my previous experience. And these pictures on the wall in the temple, Prabhupada said they're like windows into the spiritual world. And you can just say there's a picture. But if you get really close to these pictures and you look at them, and imagine stepping right into that situation underneath Govardhan Hill, or over there where, you know, Mother Jasoda is about to give Krishna a hug. Nanda Maharaj is standing there. The gopis are smiling, giggling in the corner, and the cowherd boys are climbing over the fence. If you imagine like actually stepping into those pictures, into those scenes, what to speak of this one over here with Radha Madhava in the forest of Vrindavan, where Radharani is offering the flowers to Krishna's lotus feet, and just the sheer beauty and the wonder. This thing is like,
Because this is
okay, don't worry about it. I'll just lean like that.
Yeah.
You know, imagine just walking out into First Avenue, just when you're doing book distribution or collecting donations, and you just ask someone's permission to speak to them, and then bring up the subject of devotional service. That's where Krishna consciousness lives. Here we're talking about Maharaj Parikshit talking to Shukadeva Goswami, speaking to Maharaj Parikshit and Shaunaka Rishi and the sages. I mean, I don't know what to say about it. Just that Krishna is giving us this wonderful, you know, radical experience of hearing from somebody or being told by somebody something you didn't see before, and how startling it is, and how sweet it is, and how eye-opening it is, you know. I'm just remarking about that while you're telling the story. And then sometimes when we hear these stories again and again, you know, Krishna is being swept up by the Trinavarta demon, you know, sometimes in the class, we're just sitting like, rather than go, oh, Krishna, oh my goodness, Krishna's being swept up, you know what I mean? We forget, you know, in our, because we've heard it again and again, to actually respond in an emotional way to these very moving, dramatic, adventurous, you know, activities. But I'm endeavoring to do like that. When Prabhupada could tell the story, he was so, you know,
He was in it.
in it, yeah. And he was feeling the, responding to it like in a visceral way. I don't know, just a small comment.
Thank you. Thank you.
Krishna's so wonderful that he's calling us to see what we can't see.
Thank you. Venetia, did you have your hand raised? Someone raised it. Yeah, Venetia. Unmute yourself, Venetia.
Yes.
Okay.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hare Krishna. I was wondering if you could elaborate. You started to speak about the nature of time when the boys were asking the question. I mean, when the boys were saying that this event had happened recently, but it had happened quite some time ago. Can you say more about that?
Why is that? Yeah, that's the next chapter. That's a little cliffhanger, Venetia. That's a cliffhanger.
Oh, that was a cliffhanger. Okay. All right. I'm in it. I'll
Something
be back.
It's about abduction. There was some abduction by an alien person, and the time goes differently in that realm where the abducted ones were transferred to. So we'll hear. That's the next chapter. See, that's the poetry of Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam has cliffhangers and spin-offs and all kinds of things to increase our interest in hearing. Okay, who should I call out next? Bhakta Yugo. Bhakta Yugo, would you like to contribute to this class actively? Are you faint?
I'm really appreciating Adipurursha Prabhu's meditation of how through Krishna consciousness we're being given an opportunity to enter Vraj Leela and also to give others the opportunity to enter Vraj Leela. And I know for myself, I'm very much an intellectual. I studied aerospace engineering. Now I'm studying nuclear engineering because one engineer wasn't enough for me. I'm very philosophical, enjoy reading and all these things, but it's true, Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada's advice essentially was that, yes, we should know the philosophy so that we can convince others, persuade others, give others a better understanding of reality. But the core of Krishna consciousness isn't philosophy, it's emotion. It's having an emotional relationship with Krishna through the pastimes that he presents. And so, yeah, I just have a lot of appreciation for that. And it's important for us to remember. I mean, we come into Bhagavatam class and sometimes we're thinking so much and we're planning and we're like, oh yes, I've heard this before, and all these things. But no, we're meant to be in it. We're meant to be experiencing the Leela anew and fresh each time, and to have a sense of adventure and exploration in how we do Krishna consciousness and not responsibility or a chore. So that's my thought. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Yeah, it's very interesting how Krishna's pastimes are attractive to people who are intellectuals, thinkers, like aircraft engineers. And see, we have an aerospace engineer, nuclear scientist, tuning into class to hear about baby Krishna, about Krishna walking into the mouth of a giant serpent and blowing it up from within. That's what I like about Bhakti. And this thing, I've heard this before. This doesn't work. I've never had that. Well, I've heard this principle before. Somehow or other, miraculously, every single time Srila Prabhupada in his class says, you're not the body, it sounds as if I'm hearing for the first time. It's that inspiring. It's that relieving. Every time I experience sense of relief. Every time I'm here, I hear from Srila Prabhupada that I'm not the body, that Krishna is God, that Krishna is the best friend. I feel relief. Okay, all right. That nightmare is just a nightmare. The reality is this, baby Krishna running around, killing demons. And let's not kill demons, by the way. They're being touched by Krishna. They're being personally delivered by Krishna. So let's give them respect, the due respect. They're serving Krishna in that way. They're satisfying Krishna's propensity to wrestle, to fight, to have fun, adventure, to go through an adventure, like Bhakti Yuga said. even scientists that are after adventures. See, Bhakti Yuga is a scientist, but he's after adventures. There you go. Okay, Bhakti Will has his hand raised.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu, for this wonderful class. Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to reflect on something that was mentioned about the Bhagavatam class and attending the Bhagavatam class, how important it is and how we draw closer to Krishna and Krishna draws closer to us when we attend the Bhagavatam classes with the other devotees there, and how important it is to be in the association of devotees. I'm gonna make this as short as possible because it's gonna be 8 o'clock soon. I was just doing the bridge today. I was struggling, just praying to Krishna about some issues that I was going through, and I almost forgot about the Bhagavatam class, and I had prayed to him, just give me a sign that you're listening to me. Give me a sign. Just give me. And one of the devotees, it was Bhima. Bhima called me exactly as I was on the Williamsburg Bridge. I was just walking the bridge. Bhima called me, and I said, "Oh, Hari, Krishna." I said, "Bhima, thank you so much." He was like, "What's the matter?" I said, "Well, I was just praying to Krishna. I was just asking him for a sign, and you called." You called, and the conversation ended where he said to me, "Okay, I'll see you for Bhagavatam class." And I almost forgot that Bhagavatam class was today. I mean, not today, but I just the time. You know how time goes by so fast. Well, he called me exactly at the time that Bhagavatam class was starting, and so I was like, boom, and I was able to come. Anyway, thank you, Hare Krishna. Thank you for class.
That was a Krishna miracle. If we read Srimad Bhagavatam regularly, then signs like this will come. If there's no hearing, if there's no context, even the sign, we'll just walk right by. So that's the glory of regular hearing. Angelika had her hand raised. Angelika? Not Angelika. You're not Angelika anymore. You're Ananda Manjari.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. I want to bring 2 points. A few days ago, Ganesham Prabhu was giving class, and I just want to bring what he shared, which really touched me. And one of his main points was simply that we are not to analyze Krishna's pastimes. We are to enter them and allow ourselves to be transformed by them. Because through engaging our emotions, and our emotions shape us in many aspects, that's how we are allowing the Lord to shape us in a way that he wants. So that's the first point. And the second point, I was reminded of Urmila Prabhu's instruction on how we can purify our emotions if we find ourselves in dealing with them or trying to deal with them. And one of the ways is simply that if we are experiencing something, whether it's anger even or any other emotion, we can just think, and that's where hearing Bhagavatam becomes super important, is that we can meditate on where in Bhagavatam this emotion was showing up, in which pastimes. And through that aspect, we are already purifying our emotions and linking it with Krishna. And we can also then really receive instructions from those pastimes which we are relating to and which Krishna brings in our memory. So yeah, perhaps we can try it, and perhaps it can also lead us to really develop a stronger desire to hear more and remember more of those pastimes, because they truly are our saving grace.
Beautiful. Ananda Manjari. Bhima Prabhu.
Bhima, let him
Yeah.
go.
Bhima Prabhu.
Well, wonderful. I love the discussion, everybody getting to relate to Vraja Leela. I am always reminded of when I was very, very young in the fields of Maine, cow fields, and playing. It was dreamlike as a child. And I remember that, just laying on your back in the field, like Krishna and Balaram and the cowherd boys, staring at the clouds, the blue sky, how it was always enough, that you were completely fulfilled as a soul. And that Raja Leela should be so innocent and so fulfilling as this. And I remember growing up, and of course you become complicated and you lose your innocence and the mind takes over and you're no longer living in the here and the now. And when we get to hear Raja Leela and speak about Krishna's pastimes, I remember in college, there was an author who said, you can never go home again, because I always hankered to how I would visit. I would drive back up to Maine and I would walk through those fields, but it wasn't the same anymore. And I remember an author had written, you can never go home again. And then I met Radhanath Maharaj and I read Krishna's pastimes and I realized that you can go home again. And that
that's right.
We are returning home. And this is a place where we have once been. We don't need to learn anything. We just need to surrender into it. So once again, thank you very much, all of you, for chiming in and making your comments about how wonderful Krishna's pastimes are. And Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Bhima Prabhu. We just wanted to quickly reflect. When I was a student, I made a whole presentation on the subject of becoming a child again, going back into childhood. Yeah, and then there was a radio show and I was invited to present my presentation there on a radio show. And I told them, yeah, you shouldn't grow up. Children are so innocent and adults are so complicated. We shouldn't really grow up,
Don't trust anybody over 30.
Yeah, exactly. But then people would call in and say, oh, this is just nonsense. You're wasting your time. Come on now, like that. But because back then I have the negative understanding that, okay, becoming an adult, complicated, losing your innocence, that definitely, that's not the right way. But then Srila Prabhupada came into my life and gave me the positive understanding. Okay, so we shouldn't grow up, but what should we do? This is our fields of green, right? This is our fields, right? Bhima Prabhu. I see Bhima Prabhu laying down here in the field of Bhagavatam and feeling fulfilled, feeling enough.
There's the field and there's the knower of the field.
Yeah. Okay, I did push it.
Yeah, every time somebody gives class and they say, when I was a kid, Vaishya Shekhar would tell stories about when he was younger. I remember in Catholic school, the nun speaking to the children, speaking to us about her faith, about Adam and Eve getting kicked out of the garden and about, Noah's Ark and all these stories. And when we have that dynamic of speaking to a child about Krishna, I'm watching Keshava, who helps us with Prasad Krishna, talk to his son and telling him about Krishna. And it keeps everything fresh when you're telling it to someone, especially I should tell to a child. Okay, here comes the conch shell. We'll go to Srila Prabhupada, inviting us back into.
This is our home, dear devotees. Welcome home. Okay, Hare Krishna, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna, stay for darshan. Stand up, stand up.
Trying. Still need to practice.
What's supposed to be?
I know.